Hey guys, and welcome back to the channel. So today, we're working on this great car. No, but welcome back to this absolute junkyard where we just litter tools and garbage everywhere. Amen. Okay. Okay, so you know in the last episode or whatever one it was that we went out and took it for a drive and forgot to change the tires and we hit a curb real hard? I didn't think it did any damage. But clearly I didn't really look. Because I just toasted this. Like, do you know when you toast something and you just leave it in the toaster for way too long and it's like absolutely burnt and you literally can't even look at it or eat it or touch it? This is what I feel like with this. So this tire smashed into the curb and yeah, basically just totaled itself. Here we go, guys. That is the first tire I've ever taken off of a vehicle. It's a pretty momentous moment, I think. So, number one, you'll notice that the coilover is at an angle to the back. Number two, you'll notice that this arm is totally disconnected from where it should be back there. I'm just guessing here. Like, this whole time, guys, I'm literally just guessing. So, like, if you're like, no, that actually isn't like that, please tell me. So what I think happened, guys, is this entire thing got blown back and you can see that entire arm is bent in there. That should not be at an angle like that. That should be a flat bar coming out. So I think bent this up pretty good. It's pretty screwed. But that's okay. I hope it's fixable. It should be if we just replace all of this, but basically we gotta like make a list of everything in here and like replace it all. This is just the sway bar is all it is. I mean, I don't see what else it could literally be. So if I'm understanding all this correctly, like I would say this isn't too complex. Now I know different cars are gonna have tons of different types of suspension. But at least on the front here, this isn't scaring me too much. Yeah, we have our power steering, so you got a rod through there that moves side to side, that steers the front. And then you got your sway bar right here that connects to your main boomerang. It looks like a boomerang in my opinion. Your main boomerang that is movable but ultimately supports the weight of this whole thing along, and then you have your actual suspension piece here that just mounts up there at the top. And that's literally, that's the whole thing, guys, as far as I can tell. So that's pretty cool. Reason we crashed this thing in the first place, I mean, you can hardly call it a crash. The reason we hit a curb in the first place is because we're testing to see if it overheated when the cooling fan is running, because I was told by the owner initially that was the only problem. The cooling fan needed to be redone. That was why it was overheating, and that made sense. But the reality is, that's not actually the issue. So we got the new fan in, right? And we wired it up right to the battery, and we ran it, and it's still overheated. So I was like, okay, well, what else could it be? We've got new coolant in there, we've got new oil, we've got a cooling fan that's working. What is the missing link in the system? I had tested the thermostat. I never filmed that, but I pulled out the thermostat, I put it in hot water, and it opened up. So that clearly it's working. I also put new coolant in there, and I got new oil in there, and we got the fan running. So what's the problem? There's no leaks in the system. So it was actually my grandpa who gave me the idea. We were talking about the car, and he was like, oh, well, it's gotta be your water pump. And obviously should have thought of that like 3.2 million years earlier, but obviously it's got to be the water pump. The coolant is not being switched around. I know that, but I also know that the thermostat is working, and I also know it has coolant. So obviously there's no pressure in the coolant system. The water pump is not working. So that looks like a pretty easy fix, and honestly it's super common. Everyone says as soon as you get an E36, get a new water pump for it, get a metal one with the metal fan blades, because the original OEM one only has plastic fan blades and they tend to break. So I did go ahead and I ordered a new pump for it, and that should be coming in a couple days. And then once we install that, fingers crossed, our cooling system should work. But, you know, that's just a hope. I'm gonna throw this up on jack stands and then figure out how to get the back jacked up. And yeah, it will be pretty dang freaking sweet-ish. Okay, I think I know what I need now. I've made a list of kind of all the bushings that I can see. I don't really know what they're called yet, but let's go to the computer and make a list and figure out what this is going to cost us and get everything and buy everything and spend a lot of money. Okay, so we just bought everything we needed. I think the total is probably around the $1,500 range. We got whole new control arms, bushings, and like struts and shocks and everything we should need. My only fear is that it's actually damaged the power steering rod. But if it hasn't, honestly, this isn't going to be that much of a loss. I was planning to replace everything within the next couple months anyhow, because I knew the suspension was in really bad shape. So yeah, we'll see you in the next video when hopefully we get the old stuff ripped out and the new stuff put in. So fingers crossed, but we'll see you in the next episode.